We've been working with the U.S. Attorney's Office since that night.
That night in November of 2015, District Attorney Dan May began what would be a years-long battle thanks to a mental health evaluation ordered shortly after the shooting.
And my victims have very much expressed frustration at the way the case is kind of labored in state court.
I do, Your Honor.
This is Deer in court less than a month after the shooting in 2015. There hasn't even been a preliminary hearing in the state's case. Every 60 days, the state hospital in Pueblo, which diagnosed Deer with delusion disorder, comes back with the same determination that he is still not competent to stand trial. May says they're wrong.
He's actually helped out teaching the competency class to other people who are at the state hospital, noting that frustration on the record, but the state hospitals maintain their position.
May has noted on the record in court that Deer has helped teach court proceedings to others at the state hospital. Deer has followed along in court, expressing frustrations with his own attorneys. Here he is again in that court proceeding in 2015.
This is unheard of, that the prosecution is trying to help get the truth out, and you're trying to silence the truth.
His outbursts are unusual and disruptive, often yelling out about abortion or his hate for Planned Parenthood. Today, in federal court, was no different. His own lawyer stopped the proceeding, and the judge agreed to reset the appearance for Friday. Like Dan May, Deer believes he's competent. Today in court, he told the judge, quote, "I'm not crazy. I'm just a religious zealot."
He has certain things that he did for specific reasons, but it doesn't mean he's incompetent.
So given how slow the state's case has moved along, May was happy to hear about the federal indictment as he wants some form of justice for the victims. The U.S. Attorney's Office said it decided to file despite the lack of progress at the state level because the statute of limitations for certain charges in this case were coming up. So now Robert Deer has two separate cases and possibly a second separate mental health evaluation coming. We did reach out to the state hospital about their process earlier this evening, but they cannot legally comment on individual cases, Alex.